If you just tune in, you are live with us on As Africa, streaming to you live from Accra, Ghana, our base. Good afternoon, wherever you are. Of course, connect with us on Instagram at AF Global Radio, Facebook. Watch us live. Watch me at Africa Global Radio. And today's show is special because we are dedicating it to the north of Ghana, to the culture, the music, the dance, and the people. Talking of people, just listen to this. Roland Sumani Seini Mandiaya is a researcher, a filmmaker, a curator, founder, executive director of Chaka Orleans Heritage Foundation. And his vision is to redocument African history and incubate community development projects, which is youth-led. He has traveled 12,000 kilometers all through the north of Ghana, to Burkina Faso, to Togo, to document the story of one great king, Na Biwa. If you didn't know, you are about to find out. There's so much more to say, but why let the cat out of the bag too quickly, huh? We still have an hour to go. Call your friends, call your family, tune in. Time is running out because we're about to dive in. You know, here on us, on the Arts Africa show, we always have a reading, right? And it's normally a novel or a poem. But today, because of the man, Mandiaya, he says I can call him the man. If you could see him, he's a tall, hot chocolate drink. Is that what they say? Ha! If I get fired, you know why. So he broke with tradition. Did you?
Yeah, you could say.
You did. I like that. People, who, set their own paths, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about what you brought to read and why.
Okay. It's an interesting piece because it got a personal touch to it. But I'll read it first and maybe I'll tell you a story about why I chose this particular article. And so the title of the article is The Origins of the Mosi Dagomba State, written by Dr. A.A. Ilyasu. May he rest in peace, the late Dr. A.A. Ilyasu. Amen. And so I'm going to read briefly from the article. So, can I start now?
Yes, you can.
Sure, okay. The descendants of those state-forming strangers who still rule over the Mosi Dagomba state have almost the same traditional account about their origins. Thus, the lesser-known Mamprosi oral tradition tells much the same story as the more accessible and better-known Dagomba oral tradition. Both point to a migration from somewhere east of Lake Chad. Both recount the adventures of Toaje, the Red Hunter, whose son, Tognombo, married Suyini, the daughter of Abdul Rahmani, a king of Gruma, and both recognize Bewa, the most famous issue of this marriage, as the great ancestor of the Mosi Dagomba people. There is, however, a significant difference from the starting point of Dagomba and Mamprosi oral history or traditions. The former version nearly always opens up with the migration of the East as well as the saga of Toaje and its relation with the Niger Bend. Mamprosi oral tradition, on the other hand, invariably omits this preparatory chapter and starts with Bewa's migration from Gruma territory to Pusiga, where he subdued the neighboring people and, as would be argued later, founded Mamprosi, the oldest of the Mosi Dagomba states. This difference probably accounts for the misleading conclusion sometimes made that the Great Bewa is the font and oral in the Mamprosi oral tradition. The explanation for what can be termed the abridged and unabridged version of their common oral tradition lies primarily in the scale and quality of their respective machinery for preserving and recounting their past. The Dagomba machinery is elaborate, accessible, and efficient. The state drummers, or Lunsi, who form the core of this machinery, are a highly specialized segment of Dagomba society. They have a hierarchy of their own, and at the head of which is the Namona, who, like any other important chief of the kingdom, has his own titled offices. They enjoy a fairly high social status, partly because they are handsomely rewarded for their services, and partly because they claim direct descent from a Nabia, a prince of royal blood, Bison, son of Nanyase, the first Yana or paramount chief of the Dagomba kingdom. As court historians and dramas, they chant the genealogy and exploits of the privileged as custodians of traditional beliefs and constitutional practice. They make pronouncements of facts during grave political disputes. Theirs is an arduous and painstaking task which requires long hours of patient application and practice. For this reason, they have their own time-honored and efficient system of recruiting, training, and given the nature of the Dagomba machinery, particularly its size and distribution, for there is hardly a Dagomba chief's village without its drama, and it's probably not surprising that there has been available for a long time now a fairly detailed account of Dagomba oral tradition. The Mamprusi kingdom, on the other hand, has nothing comparable in grandeur or efficiency to the Dagomba machinery. There are, to be sure, some able drummers who are as eagerly sought after as the Dagomba ones by connoisseurs during the festivals of the Mamprusi and Dagomba peoples. But these are the exceptions rather than the rule. In any case, they are either natives of Dagomba or have acquired their skills at the feet of Dagomba drummers. Consequently, the collectors of Mamprusi oral tradition has to rely largely upon the Naire, Pambaya, or state elders and councillors. And the danger from this source is perhaps not so much as the likelihood of its being unreliable and inaccurate, the elders being generally less well equipped than the drummers to recollect past events. It is rather that because of their estates within the kingdom, the elders seem to think that the chief's function, or raising the earth of the oral tradition, is to explain the existing political structure with its differentiated status between the rulers and the ruled. They therefore attach more importance to the great political advance which Bewa made after his migration to Pusiga. He changed his career as a leader of mercenaries to that of a state builder. Only by this means, which in a sense is their charter, could they account for the origins of chieftaincy as well as secular authority vested in their offices. Thus, it was uncommon for the Mamprusi state elders, when asked of the origins of their kingdom, to start with Bewa's exploit and the success of his arms over the people he met around Pusiga and absorbed into his kingdom. It is possible that both Rattray and Mackay, the pioneer collectors of Mamprusi oral tradition, relied exclusively upon the elders, hence their incomplete and entirely satisfactory account of Mamprusi oral tradition. The much shorter version, however, has at least one advantage over the unabridged Dagomba one, namely, it dwells at length upon Bewa's conquest and even attempts to delimit geographically extent of this conquest. According to this version, Bewa left Gruma land after a disputed succession following the death of his maternal grandfather, Abdul Rahmani. Although his faction carried the day, he migrated with a large following to Sana or Sanga, south of Fada and Gruma. From there, he began the gradual conquest of the territories of the Busasis and the Kusasis further south. In due course, he overran part of their territories. He then moved his base of operations from Sanga to Pusiga, where he came to exert power over and levy tribute on the less powerful people around him. As was the case with most kingdoms similarly founded, his authority was more or less constantly effective, only over a relatively small area around Pusiga. However, Mamprusi oral tradition claims that this authority extended as far north as Sanga, as far south as present-day eastern Dagomba, then largely populated by the Kokomba, as far east as Mamprugu, where the mother of Tuogu, one of Bewa's illustrious sons, came from, and as far west as Sangu and Nabari, both east of Walewale and Bogatanga Road, It is possible that even the Daboya district, a later accretion to the state of Gonja, formed part of Bewa's kingdom. It was thus an extensive domain stretching to the black as well as the white Volta. Bewa ruled over this domain until his death. Here again, with Mamprusi and Dagomba traditions give the same account about the circumstances of his death. According to this account, Bewa had 9 children. The eldest, whom was Koshogu, but Koshogu being a woman could not succeed her father. So Zirili, the eldest son, became the heir apparent. But Zirili's impatience and love of adventure made him an unsuitable successor to a newly founded kingdom, which required a period of peace to consolidate. Bewa therefore preferred a younger son, Kufogu, as his successor and made his preference known. I think we will leave it at this.
Wow. This definitely makes more interesting reading than any novel or storybook you could have brought.
Yeah, thank you. And I chose this particular work because I kind of have a personal relation to this. I didn't know about this paper until I started my project. And so I did my national service up north, actually. So
Okay.
and whilst I was there, I knew Mr. Eliasu, his son, Dr. Eliasu's son. I had met him, and we've been talking. And whilst at the hospital, I had completed my service and I was leaving, and an old lady bumped into me and asked me for help, and that he needed help at the pharmacy. And nobody would attend to him. He's been there for hours. I decided to help this woman. So I helped this woman, and afterwards, this woman offered me some money, like usual. But I refused. I just did it because I wanted to. She was really pleased, and she was like, "Oh, really? I would like to do something for you." I'm like, "But this is just a normal help, right?" It's like, "Okay, I have sons, though. Maybe you don't know." Just for him to mention his son's name, and it was Mr. Eliasu.
Wow.
Now, it was interesting because I was like, "Oh, I just spoke to him that particular day." It's like, if you talk to him, tell him he bought me this car or whatever. So I went home. Whilst shooting, I decided to tell my dad about it. And so I was telling him this story. Can you imagine the coincidence? Then he was like, Mr. Eliasu's father actually came, was researching on Nadbewa. Did you know? I said, I didn't know. He said, okay, he always came for the research from your grandparents. And so we are like family friends, or kind of have a relationship.
Wow.
So that was really strange. And since then, I felt like maybe it was a calling to do this because he was the only known person and still most respected person to have done a research on Nadbewa. And so it was interesting that I got to meet the family and the wife, and she also became my mother. May she rest in peace. She passed away.
Amen.
So, yeah, that's why this passage is very.
It means a lot to you.
Special.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, thank you.
Wow. You know what? This is such an incredible story. I had so much to ask about the reading, but I think there's even more about like that, like that personal story you just related about how you were doing your service and you met the old lady. I want to ask though, had you already like commenced, were you already looking into Nagbewa at this point? Have you already started any research? Or it was a meeting with the old lady at the hospital that prompted you to start looking into Nagbewa?
Thank you. No. I started the research in 2008.
Okay. So at this time, you hadn't met the old lady yet?
No, I had not. Actually, I started it before. So, I have an interesting story because my mom is a Fanti and my dad is a Northerner.
Okay.
And I spent most of my time with my mom. So it got to a time when I was 18, I wanted to go up north. So when I went up north and I was with my dad, I was with the chief of Gariga, and every time people wanted to speak to me, I couldn't speak Mampuli, and they always like accusing me and feeling like, why is it that you don't understand? You don't know who you are. So they began telling me stories about me and who I am, and it was interesting, and I felt like I wanted to, I saw that my dad and my family always had this love of supporting people. I just wanted to do something uh, to bring my family together, so to speak.
Okay.
Because after learning about all this, I kind of, it was interesting for me how this complex group of people are all connected and woven together through one person. And in as much as there may be good aspects, because when you talk about conquest, there are people, there are other stuff that comes with it.
Of
But
course.
I felt like we could look at the positive side. So with this, I decided actually to write a book. So I had a lot of privilege in terms of meeting a lot of just older people, and so I started writing my book. First time writer. I'm very lazy. And I was thinking, okay, how can I get this to the youth? Because it's like they are the biggest targets. Because I'm like a youth who just found out all this
Stuff.
powerful history. And how can I also confirm this history as truth?
Okay.
Because even though, like how Dr. Elias was saying, when it is coming from maybe rulers or chiefs and people who have something to lose, then maybe it might come from maybe a more politically correct point of view.
True.
Now, in as much as I am proud of being part of some story like this, I also wanted truth. And so I started the research and I decided that I have to travel to all these regions.
Now you are giving away too
Okay,
much.
sorry.
I want us to tease them
Right.
and to lead them down the journey,
Right.
okay? But what I want us to do first is to get to know the man
Okay.
behind the incredible Northern Experience material. Oops, even I have said too much right now. Because
I think we are excited.
yeah, we are excited because, like I said, Mandiaya is the founder and executive director of the Chaka Orleans Heritage Foundation, and he's also the founder of the Northern Experience. We are going to go a little bit into what the Northern Experience is, but I want to stay a little bit more on the research paper that you just read, right? Because I want people like to, 'cause we know where we are going, but I want us to bring our listeners with us.
Together, right.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. This show today is dedicated to the north of Ghana.
Right.
Okay, it's not for PR purposes or because your host is from the north. No, it's because the time has come for us to shed light on the, will I say, like the neglected, if that is a politically correct word to use, on the neglected parts of our homeland, right? Ghana is our homeland, but there's so much more of it that we don't talk about. And today Africa Global Radio has decided to dedicate today's show to it, and that is why Mandiaya is here. He has so much to talk about, what he's been up to and all that. And when you read your research paper, two things came up at me. So there's a Mamprisi and there's a Dagomba, right? So this is basically a story of where they came from. Okay, and I know it's sort of where they came from and how they came to be as it is today. And the phrase that kept leaping at me when I was listening, they said that until the prey learns to write, the story will always glorify the hunter, or the hunter, something of the hunter being glorified. Yeah, because here you are telling us the origins of two different tribes and how it sounds more, let's say, pleasing from one aspect. That's the Dagombas, right? They'll tell about how they were great and they conquered, and the Mamprisis have a much shorter, understandably abbreviated version of it. So what is interesting is that, so we are all one people, isn't it?
Right, basically.
So is that what you wanted to set out to prove, that there was no need to fight?
Right. So basically, so then I have to go a little back.
Yes, let's go back. Let's go all the way from to the start. Sorry for interrupting. You know what?
But I think it's fine.
I want you to tell us, at what point did you wake up and say, I want to document the Northern Experience or the north of Ghana, Northern culture?
After I'd visited the North the first time when I was
this?
18.
Okay.
Now I'm a grown ass man. Yeah, when I was, like I said, so this came to me. I wanted to write a book, and the whole essence was also that I didn't know this. And so if we reminded everybody about this, then it could be our rallying factor, or our coming together in the process. But then later on, I was like, okay, but the youth hardly read these days, and so how do I get it to them? So I decided to do a film.
Okay.
I had never done a film. I studied statistics, and I never
Okay.
did film before. So I'd actually approached a friend of mine to do the film with me.
When was this?
That was 2010.
Okay.
Okay, 2010, and he was asking me for some ridiculous amounts. And I was like, I have this money you're asking for, but I wanted us to use the money to shoot. And since you're my friend, you could come along and help me do this. He was like, nah. And I like challenges, so I decided to become a filmmaker. And actually, that's what made me a filmmaker. I decided
Wow.
to shoot my own thing.
How old were you at this point?
I was 24.
24. So you know what I want to ask. So up until this point, right? Like what were like your major interests? Were you doing anything else apart from like studying culture? Because surely you were doing something else before you decided to start this documentary process.
Yeah, I was working.
Where were you working at?
So I used to manage a business. I was an administrative manager at Synergy Group, some company,
Okay.
and I used to work at audit service, and yeah, I did.
Okay.
I worked at some few places, but I had always wanted to do this after my service. And actually, one of the agreements I had with the business I was managing's owner was that I was going to chase my dreams, and he was like, "Let's do this. Afterwards, I'm going to support you to do yours," which never happened though.
That a lot of people I hope are listening. Your friend who charged you the ridiculous amount and your former manager, I hope they are listening. But that was the magic word I was waiting for. That's why I asked what were you doing before you decided to pursue this venture of of gathering all this. And you said it, chasing your dreams.
Yes, that's all I wanted, because
Okay.
it had been on my heart since I came back. And
Since you came back from where?
from the north, like I
Okay.
said. And to be honest, I barely had a purpose then. I was like the only child of my mother. Like I didn't have much to live for.
Okay.
To be honest, I didn't feel like studying. I remember telling my mom that she should give me my school fees to create something.
Okay.
And so it was after this journey I really had a purpose.
Wow.
Actually, it was after this journey that I really it was also embracing the other side of me.
Your dad's side.
My dad's side.
So
'Cause
were you born in Fantiland?
I was born in Accra,
In Accra.
city boy.
Okay, so you're born and bred in Accra.
Yeah, basically.
And you only went to the north at what age?
18.
At excuse me. What did your father do to you?
It's a whole long,
It's a
complicated
story. Okay,
I think
maybe.
we don't have the time now.
Okay, so you went to the north for the first time at the age of
18,
18.
yeah.
And that's when you realized you knew nothing about your father's people.
Yeah.
You came back and that, and that awakened
Yeah.
this hunger in you to find
Right.
out more, and you wanted to document it.
Right.
So once that hunger was awoken, then what happened?
So once that hunger was awoken, after doing my research and I felt confident about it, I was like, okay, it's time to prove this research work.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go on a journey to every place that I read about, and meet the people who are directly descendant of this great man we're talking, this great emperor, and hear different aspects of the story. Now, we all know that every research has a methodology. I'm a star specialist, so I brought my little stars to bear, but at the same time creating my own methodology, in the sense that this is a new filmmaker going on the ground trying to do his research. So how do I create it? I was like, okay, one of the ways to prove it, apart from going to all these places, is ask everybody the same questions. So if you have a story being told by 10 people, then in everybody's bit, there will be holes. But their holes will be captured differently in everybody's narrative. In so doing, you're able to decipher some of the added elements which may not fit, or some of the stuff that may come out just to fit the narrative. Apart from doing the, book research and paper research, this was my kind of ideology about how to. And also, like, so after I decided to do it, then I kind of had two main objectives for it. And so the main objective is to document it, archive it, and educate people about Northern Ghana history
True.
to become like a window which way people see the North.
True.
And like people say that, oh, we Northerners are aggressive. But if people knew that we came from warrior background, maybe they would understand the essence of our temper.
Okay.
Maybe if people knew and how we came about, they would tend to understand why we behave in a certain way. And
Okay.
so this can help in nation building as we are part of a bigger state. And so the main objective was to educate the people and educate our people about how we are all connected and rally them together for our own development. And I wanted to say something when you were speaking.
Yeah, sure.
And I wanted to say, I would prefer you call the North the untapped mind.
The untapped mind.
Right. And
Okay.
so this untapped mind has so much to offer, has already offered everything to this country, you know. And so this is what I wanted to bear, and how it has influenced the whole country without people really giving it credit for or acknowledging it. And since I had a Khan background, I was able to see also from a different light
Perspective.
how this is seen. So then that became the short-term aim. But then the long-term aim is that after peace, then we need to develop. And so in development, we needed to build the human capital that the North needed to develop the way we wanted. And so we plan to build a university in honor of Nadwewa.
Too much. That was something that I was hoping that we would keep till the very end. But you know what? Like your story is so fascinating. It's not a story, because when you say story, then people think you are talking about fiction.
Right.
Your narrative and what we are talking about here is so fascinating. We got carried away. When I came into this interview, I wanted to talk about your person, right? You know, where you went to school. Where you went to school. You know, like, you know, the normal interview question: where you went to school, what do you do, da 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 da. And I talk about what you do. But 5 minutes into our interview, I realized that the man and the project are one. You cannot talk to Mandiaya without talking about the Northern experience and the, you know, and your movie and all that.
Right.
So let's talk about your film.
Right.
So you wanted to make a film. Your friend wanted to, you know, take all your money. So he said you do it yourself.
Right.
So what was the product of that journey? What's the title of the film, and what are you doing with it right now?
Okay, so the end product is a film, The Forgotten Kingdom Chronicles of the North.
Wow.
That's the title, and yeah, we produced it after traveling 12,000 kilometers.
12,000 kilometers. Where did you go to? What were the destinations?
Wow, so every district in the north, and Ouagadougou, Fada Nkrumah, Tinkurugu, Togo.
Wow, you went to Togo?
Yeah, Mampurugu, Jatpa, they are different areas. So actually, you know, the name Mampurugu is actually a town in Togo. So that's where actually the name. So up to today, there's a town in Togo called Mampurugu. That's where the people got their name from, because before all this, both Mamprosis, Dagombes, Nanumbes, and everybody, they call themselves Dadbamba.
Wait, we had a war between the Nanumba and the what was it?
The Kokomba.
The Konkomba.
Right.
Okay. Is the Konkomba part of the Mampurugu?
You
tribe?
could say, because you know the empire is not limited. It's like it's an empire of state. So different groups of people, different ethnicities, all exist within one framework.
Okay. When was your movie made?
2016.
2016.
That was when we finished. Yeah.
That's when you finished it, and you have been on tour, because.
I've been a few places.
A few. Don't be modest.
A few.
Budapest, Jamaica, Egypt.
Yeah, we've been to a few places, like in Europe. The film I starred, we've been screened in Italy, in Vienna, in the US, in South Africa, Ghana, obviously. But before that, you know, like I said, it's a peace project also. So we had like a lunch at the Tamale Sports Stadium, bringing together over 15 kings and chiefs from all over the northern regions, because for us, the peace has to start with the chiefs to get to the grassroots. So we needed to start the sensitization from there. And after which we needed to get to more people, and that's why we did the tour. And then about the music that you were about to do, because it was one of the first ways to get the message to the people.
Yes.
And so we did this with Sheriff Agunu based on the research, and then we produced this, commissioned it, the soundtrack also. So basically, these are the processes at which we want to carry the information to people. Then the Northern experience.
You know what? It's so smart. So you found out about the stories,
Right.
you know, and then you proceeded to document it, written form.
Right.
Then smart enough to know that lazy youth, 2020 and all that,
Yeah.
you know, who's going to want to read? So you made it into a movie.
Yeah.
But then they like music. So Sheriff Agunu did the song, and
Right.
then you are gonna have like the piece, right? Where, I don't know, like, are you gonna have maybe like, are you gonna play it out on stage, like with a theater production?
Yeah. So
Is that in the pipeline?
So basically, that comes back to the Northern experience, like I was saying.
Okay.
So, like I told you, that the short-term aim of this project
Yeah.
is to educate the people. But the question was, how do we educate these
How
people?
do we do that? Okay.
So then the Northern experience basically became the vehicle at which we educate the people
About the Forgotten Kingdom.
about the North.
About the
Because
North.
my objective is not limited to that. You know, Nagbewa is a bonding factor with which the North is to be rallied together.
Okay.
But at the same time, the vision is for the whole North. And so I created this platform to promote and educate people about the Northern culture, history, and people as the vehicle for the Forgotten Kingdom.
Forgotten Kingdom.
The short-term aim to carry it out.
We keep talking about Nagbewa. Who was or who is Nagbewa?
So basically, Nagbewa is said to be the first king of modern-day Ghana, because Nagbewa was the first person to have an empire in this present-day country that we live in.
Wow.
Because his kingdom is older than every other kingdom, even the Bonos, even the Gonjas, because the Gonjas came to meet them. And just like the Asantes are the last conquerors in the south, the Gonjas are the last conquerors in the north. And so they came to meet, and if you had the passage, it told you that Dabuya used to be part of it, which is, yeah. So then, basically, let's carry everybody together, because I did something about Nagbewa. We carries everybody but the Gunjas, because the Gunjas have a connection
I'm
to them.
offended. I'm a Gonja.
You see, sorry, but it didn't mean like that. They have a relationship, and it's very complex one, and it need very time consuming. You know, it took us 4 years to research and produce the film. It wasn't a day, so it's a gradual process, and so, but then. That's why I founded Chaka Orleans, to just redocument African history, so it's not limited to the North.
Okay.
But then the North has a special place in my heart, I guess.
I understand that. So now we go to the soundtrack for the Forgotten Kingdom Chronicles of the North. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Forgotten Kingdom and about the Northern experience and Chaka Orleans.
Listen to Africa Global Radio. Make una tune in on, and then the better tunes they come out from.
I love Africa Global Radio.
Bagdad, Abdul Aziz Touaget. Africa Global Radio.
My name is Samuel Foster Basilia, author of Chaka. Tune in to Africa Global Radio 18 years after.
Inendiwa kwa Afrika ndipo ndimanyadira kwambiri ndizosangalala.
I love Africa Global Radio.
I absolutely love listening to Africa Global Radio. Please, guys, keep listening. Let's keep Africa going.
Yes. And so that is the soundtrack for The Forgotten Kingdom. I'm sure it's a beautiful movie. You know, so you say you've been on tour to very diverse countries. In
Right.
Ghana, Nigeria, Italy, South Africa. What has the reception been so far? What were the reviews like?
I think it's been interesting as a first-time filmmaker. Then, yeah, sure. You know, I had some few critics. I mean, when a filmmaker watches your film, now that I became one, it's like if I see a film, I have to criticize every
Okay.
little bit of it, and so people tell you what you could do better, and for me, it is good.
Okay. What was the
Secondly,
one thing? Sorry, what was the one thing that you would do better if you made a film today?
I would have. That would be on the journey. I would have had about 4 lapel mics.
Okay. So that's a technical thing.
There's a technical
Not your
thing.
fault.
No.
Okay.
So I think basically that on the journey.
Yeah.
I remember when we were leaving Wa to Navrungo,
Okay.
our car broke down. And we were so lucky, you know. Immediately we left Tumu, you know, which was like a lot of ditches and, you know, some insecure area. We arrived at, I think, is it Chuchuluga or Chana? One of them, Chuchuluga. And the car broke. Immediately we entered the town. The car broke down in the middle of the night, about 11.
Wow.
Now, we tried to get a car from the town. Nobody. There was no hotel, no accommodation. There was no mechanic. And there was this one man who had a van. So we went to speak to him, and he says, okay, we can leave the car. He drove us to the next town. This one makes it, I think, yeah, the next town is Chana. Yeah. So he drove us to China, and we got some guest house. We slept over. The following day, we came back, and then we still couldn't get a towing car. So we needed to get a towing car from Navrongo.
Wow.
And actually, we got a car, a passenger car, to tow the pickup to
Oh, wow.
Navrongo. It was really interesting. And Also, traveling with a map. It was like a lot of the places we went, I've not been there. And so I was just sitting and having the map and saying, hey, let's go here, let's go here. And it was interesting because, I like digging, because sometimes when you dig and you get to certain areas, you find something.
Something you weren't even looking for.
Yeah, like that's the excitement of it. And it also showed me how wonder we are. Like you go to Burkina, you go to Togo, the northern part of Togo, actually from Sesamango, which used to be part of us. They're just like us in northern Ghana. Okay. Their life is simply the same, just maybe food, but they're just the same,
the same culture, almost the same
so
language, right?
So much in common. And when you travel around the world, you see people and you see how one you are. You see other people's cultures. You get people's, like I was in Malta, the University of Malta, where I gave a lecture and also screened the film, and the professor told me that he didn't know that Africa had a system before the West came.
Wow.
Like a professor told me that by watching the film, he knew that we had our own governance system that existed and had those structures that was somewhat effective.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that. And I was happy that he could know that, because we existed and we had special stuff, unique stuff. And I want to stress on the touch before we go. Like people say we live in touch, like, okay, because we are not wealthy. Because honestly, brick is the best for Ghana weather. And the touch is the best for the northern weather.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So and then the mud houses.
The mud houses are very cool inside. Actually, they are very cool.
So that should tell you that our forefathers were researchers and very intellectual beings, and they were thinking, and I'm sure they were far ahead of us. And so this is one of the points that.
But I'm sure at that moment, when like that professor in Malta told you that he found something new, that was like an aha moment. Like, this is why you made this film.
Yes.
This is why you traveled 12,000 kilometers. Dusty. Like, if you go on Mandia's Instagram, you'd see him looking as dusty as the ground. Like literally, they did the work. They did the groundwork. So kudos to that. And
thanks.
like about the reviews, apart from that, what are some of the things also that people told you? So this man said he found something new. Like, did they appreciate the effort? Did they like it?
They love it. A lot of people really actually appreciated it. There's one point that one feedback that I had that I don't like talking about it, but I think that, man, let's open it up.
Okay.
When we did the lunch, when the Deborah with the canes and the cheese and everybody was really excited. Everybody went home and at some point there were some people that say that we were beating war drums and we were trying to incite, because
was this in Ghana or outside Ghana?
It was in Ghana. It was in Ghana, and I was like, what? Come on. My only intention. Actually, when I did this, my mom's family keep asking me why I didn't do it for them.
So why did they say you were beating war drum? Did they tell you?
I guess you know the truth, and it's not good for politically correct. And I don't want to be politically correct. And I don't have any agenda than to rally Northerners around, I could be a Fanti and not a Northerner. But it's the heart.
It's the heart.
The heart is there. And so for me, I wanted to say this because I wanted people to know the essence of this is not open up wounds, because when there is conquest, people also have pain.
Of course, because someone wins and
somebody
loses. Okay.
Do you understand? So this shouldn't be our the base for our disunification.
Okay.
But if you see Nabiwa did something right and some things wrong, like for instance, he never changed any ethnicity to be a different ethnicity. And that's why we still have Fafras and we still have Talis and we still have all these other ethnicities. He didn't want to change people. Anytime he, so to speak, overran a space, he became one of them.
Okay, Mandiaya, I see you are so passionate about this. If I if I go home with you, we are gonna be here so all night, and it's fantastic. That is why you absolutely need to go see the North, the Forgotten Kingdom Chronicles of the North. So where is this film available to be watched? Can it be streamed? Where can one find it? Because all that you've said, I'm sure people will want to watch it.
Yeah, it's on Vimeo and it's on abb2me.com, so you can buy
where?
a copy. abb2me.com.
Maybe to me, could you just spell that out?
ABIBITUMI.
Okay.
.com.
Okay. So these are the two places where one can go find the Forgotten Kingdom Chronicles of the North to watch, who tells the story of Nagbewa and basically how about the first kingdom and the first legendary king of Ghana came to be. And it's very important that we know our history, that we know where we come from, because you said something that really struck me about the fact that when you travel, you see that we are all the same and there's no need to fight.
Right.
Because you sit in Ghana, you think someone in Togo doesn't like your matter. You go to his house, you see he speaks your language. We have the same names. And not to get a little bit political, Africa was divided up like a piece of cake when we were colonized, right? So brothers and sisters were overnight put behind enemy walls all of a sudden, because some dude from Britain or from Portugal, whatever, decided that he wants this part and he wants that part. So I think that projects like yours need to be out there. People need to see them. Once like this coronavirus situation is under control, do you have plans to put it on the big screens for people to see it?
Yes.
Would you like Accra or whatever cinemas around the world?
That's why we're basically doing the Northern Experience. So let me come quickly to the Northern Experience before we kick.
Oh yeah, before the Northern Experience, let us give them a teaser of what the Forgotten Kingdom is like. Cue trailer, The Forgotten Kingdom.
Much of the problems in our country is because of misunderstanding.
Yeah, you have land, you have natural resources, you have many things.
You ask yourself, who are you? What are your roots? Where do you come from? What is your home?
We are talking of the Mom, Mafumu, and Kanu. These three states, or these three kingdoms, all belong to one great grandfather.
We are all one. Look at all the Northern, we are all descendants of Nigeria.
The modern day Mampusi, the modern day Lagumba, the modern day Nanumba, and the modern day Moshi, all come through that line, the ancestors.
If we know each other very well, and if we are open-minded and free with each other, many of these problems will not exist.
Because now what we want in our kingdom is development. We want schools, we want good roads, we want hospitals, we want good education. What's important? We can't count them.
This is not our place. We are here on a mission, and the mission is to do to one another.
If we have a common platform, you can imagine what
stand for, spreading from this corner of the country right down to Loire.
In the first place, it will avoid conflict. Where you know you can trace your origin, where you are coming from, then there will not be any conflict.
Suna ci duala sabra shuni mula kani zu ka bumbali ben yan ka bango anka katukula sabra.
Powerful. Do check out the Forgotten Kingdom Chronicles of the North on Vimeo. Yeah, absolutely, because there's so much to be learned. And now I want us to talk about the Northern experience. You wanted to go there, I kept bringing you back, go there, bringing you back. Let's go there.
Right.
Let's talk about the Northern experience. Tell our listeners what that is about and why you think the Northern experience needs to be uncovered.
Right. So, basically, I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to create a way that a platform that I could educate people about the North and Nadbewa. And so in 2018, together with Charlotte Festival, we co-produced the first Northern Experience.
Oh, wow.
At the National Theatre. And basically, the Northern Experience, the first one was a pilot. Because I'd always wanted to have this in the North. You know, we already did the Durbar with the Chiefs, and we had wanted to institute it as an annual event. But, you know, it's a lot of work and a lot of funds when we did, and so we needed to prepare. So going back and forth in 2018, I was speaking to my friends. I was like, I would like to do this festival again, but maybe we can pilot it in Accra. And they were like, okay, cool, why don't we do it as part of Charlotte? So it was me, Mandiaya Sumani and Josephine Curie. And we start hitting the planning it and curated it together. And then we had Hakeem, Mensa, and Kwame Boafo join us to curate the first edition of the Northern Experience. Now, the Northern Experience has happened 3 times. We've had 3 editions. Last year, we had 2 editions of the Northern Experience. So this came about because, you know, until this year, I was the logistics manager and a producer for Charlotte Street Festival.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, but now I'm focusing on the foundation and trying to get things going. So up until this year, where we did the virtual, I've been concentrating on this. And so we did the first Northern Experience, and then when we were supposed to do Charlotte in 2019, I thought of adapting the film into theater. So as part of our partnership with the National Theatre, I spoke to them about this. And then the executive director was like, so you are partnering with us and you want to do a theater and you want to go and bring people from the outside to come and do it. Does it make sense to you? So like that. So I was like, not really, because I knew that it was going to be a lunch. Like, let's do it. And so the first person on my heart that came to my mind was Sadia. So I don't know, like, I just like, okay, man, let me call Sadia. I'm super excited. If I get Sadia supporting me, we're going to kill this. So I called Sadia, and she's excited, and she was like, oh, sometimes I give her strength about our people, and it was really important to me to hear that. And she was like, okay, let's do this. And so she also called one of our directors, Hajara, and then National Theatre also brought together a team. Nia Ashon, William Ashon, Osla Yamwa, and also the executive director was on and off. And also I brought on board Chief Momin. And together we put together the adaptation of the film into theater. And that was a special, so we had a special Northern experience, which is the element of this theater plus the whole Northern experience, which is basically includes food, dance, music, everything, poetry. So we do so many different activities. And we
Is this all in one day or over a period of several
all
days?
in one day, you know.
Oh,
It's been a
wow.
pilot all in one day. So we have different and so we did Nagbe, the Northern, that's the second edition of the Northern Experience, having the adaptation in addition to the Northern Experience. And it went really well at the National Theatre, and we performed the theatre for the first time. It was so exciting. The National Theatre had to really perform, access to perform it again the next September.
Wow.
And I think it was one of their major projects they've done in a long time on Northern Ghana. And then we had another Northern Experience during Charlotte last year. And so we had 3 Northern Experience. And so we're supposed to have one this year, obviously, because of COVID. And so this is how the whole Northern Experience was birthed. And so now we want to find a way to move it back to where it actually belongs.
Wow, this sounds great. You know what? I wanted to paint me a mental picture, right? Because we're supposed to have it this year. It didn't happen, and unfortunately, I've never been to one. To anyone listening, right? Paint us a more like a mental picture of, for example, if you were hosting it today, right? Let's say at the National Theatre, and I were to walk in. Right from when I walk in, what would I see? What would I do? You know, what? Tell me about this variety show.
Well, so basically, is, you know, in as much as I was screening the film around, I had also the opportunity to be lecturing sometimes, you know. And so, though I hit the spot, I like to talk. And so, usually we have panel discussions, on different themes. Last time we had a panel discussion on Nagbewa as a vehicle towards promoting peace, unity, and economic development. We had a panel discussion on promoting Northern Ghana. So different panel discussions where we bring people from, you know, all very important people from different parts of the North to talk about or deliberate about the way forward and how to get this done. Then we also have the theater bit, and we have film screening, and we have poetry, we have music performance, we have a bit of food, and we had photo exhibitions, usually outside. So basically, it's a dynamics of activities.
Wow.
Now, yes, obviously, having this all packed up in a day is a lot. So we're hoping to spread it out. But
over a few days.
Yes, but this is what has always been done. It was just half a day activity.
Yeah, but you know, it all sounds so mouth-watering because I'm sitting down here, you know, so I come in there, I have the opportunity to be part of a panel, to listen, then I go, you know, then I go with the theater, then the music, then there's poetry, and there's oh my goodness. You don't have to take STC bus 12 hours to go experience the North.
Right.
So basically what a Northern experience does is that you take all of the amazing things up there, package it, and spread it over a couple of hours.
Yes.
I can't wait for you guys to come back because this is something that we all need to see.
We can't wait either.
Yeah. If we are not able to, you know, okay, obviously this year is almost ended. If you're unable to, you know, to have this event this year, are you thinking of maybe you know, having a virtual Northern experience maybe? Don't starve us, you know.
Nah, I think we're cooking a lot. You know? I like to say we're cooking. So we're cooking something really crazy, and that's why we have the trailers out. We are coming out here, you know. So just stay, keep your ears out there, and keep listening. And we're gonna bring the North to you right wherever you are.
Right wherever you are. So now let's have a listen to the trailer of the Northern Experience.
Sometimes you enter a certain area and you feel you should have discovered it earlier. You are blown away by the uniqueness of the place. The area gives you natural healing spiritually and physically. The North is such the North, but we call it home. Not for the fun of it, but for what it represents in our livelihood. Enjoy the free gifts of the North as we take you through a tour of all the regions, zones, and mysteries garnished by ancient cultures and modern trends, soaked in an ambience of friendliness and hospitality. Come along, be our cherished friend as we introduce you to our story, our journey, our pride, our heartbeat. Coming soon, the Northern Experience.
Time check is 1:34 p.m. right here in Accra, our base where we are streaming to you live. This is Africa Global Radio, and you are listening to Arts Africa. Today, our guest is the man Mandiaya. He is a researcher and a filmmaker, and he's here to tell us all about the films that he's made and his research, more specifically on Nagbewa and the Chronicles of the North. So today's show has been dedicated to uncovering and discovering the untapped mind, the music, most importantly, the history and the culture of the North. So if you're just tuning in, welcome once again. If you've been with us, I love you so much. Now let's talk a little bit more. Mandiaya, I am from the North, right? My mom is from Wa, my dad is a Gunja. But I have learned so many new things that I did not know. Okay. Since you started on this journey from, which started with the movie, The Forgotten Kingdom, and then the Northern Experience, and all that you're doing, right? What sense do you get from the feedback people give you, especially people who are not Northerners, like people from the south of Ghana and foreigners, right? Like, obviously, they've learned a lot, so much. Why do you think, from their perspective, the North is the untapped mind? Like, why don't they know all these very obvious things?
This is a very big question, actually. I think we all know why, starting from the independence struggle, and unless we go back then, some of this cannot be answered, because I think during the independence, there was the struggle where the Northern territories didn't want to be part of the rest of the country for a reason.
Okay.
And one of the reasons were that they were scared that their chieftaincy was going to be meddled with. They were scared that they were going to be kept as backburner. And all this. Actually, I guess that's what ended up with free education at some points in our history, because the British needed to pay something to us for our allyship. So I think that the idea about you can only make it in the South is just like the idea like you can only make it in the West. Okay. Now, if you have a generation where everybody that made it had to come to the South, then obviously it gives you kind of psychological direction towards a point, because you know that this is where the mind is, forgetting that you are sitting on it. Because the North has the most resources that the country has. Secondly, the North has blessed the country with so much, like smoke. We have, some people call it batakari and what. We ask yourself, where did you get batakari from?
From the North.
It's just smoke, because we all know that some time ago, all the Akan states, basically, they used to wear raffias and the bark of trees as their cloth until they had interaction with the North. Even the yam. Most of the Southern, their festivals are yam festivals, but they don't grow yam. They wait for the yam from the North before they celebrate their festival, the yam festival, My maternal grandma used to tell me, we're actually all from the North, So basically, I think that maybe it's about the mindset and the movement. If people are made to be aware about what they have, and also, In the past, it was strategically made that the Northerners couldn't be anything else than teachers and nurses. This is a long time ago. But these are the people who are older now, and we are some of us are their children and stuff. This has been something in their mind, and so until the people themselves, because like there's so much that can be taught. Shea butter, one of the most important elements in any pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
Where does it come from? Why is there not no benefit? Why don't we have only a shea butter board? Why does it has to be part of cocoa?
Yeah.
You know, because shea butter sometimes is bigger than the cocoa. That's the truth. You know, I feel like I was saying somewhere on the platform, I was like, one of our problem is that individually people are too big to come together. And that's the point. I think our individuality is the problem because people have become powerful individually, and to align them is the point. Because, and that's why I felt that maybe our traditions couldn't be the point, because anything else, and then a platform for where we can engage each other. In the past, you know, people laugh at each other. They call each other slaves and stuff, and people think it's awful. It's not. Those are the flashing point. Those are the point that we deal with issues. You know, those are the times where we talk about some of our deepest pain and joke about them.
Yeah.
Because whether we like it or not, the pain is there.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? I just wanted to explain a little bit, like for our listeners, when he mentioned the slave part.
Right.
For example, okay, because we have a running joke in the north, like where certain tribes call certain tribes slaves. The Wilders say their slaves are the Frafras, and the Frafras say I think they say the Sisalers or whatever, they are slaves, and we joke and laugh about all of these things. You know, it's amazing. And what I would say, I mean, if I were to give my own take on this, I think it comes from knowing your history.
Right.
Okay, because you can have all the sherbet in the world and all the smoke and all the amazing. I mean, we have land. Have you seen the land? Like just vast acres and acres of
10
it.
10 million hectares.
You know, 10 million hectares it is. And people, like, you can barely find place to put your feet down in Accra. But everybody's building here. All the factories have been located here. But I think the problem is a very simple one. It's just lack of knowledge, right? Because if you do not know that the gold even exists, that there's a mine, you will not even go looking for it. Right. So that is why I think what you are doing is so fundamentally important, because you are shining a light. You are shining a light on the north and say, look at what we have. This is who we are. Right. Because when I say I'm from the north, somebody says, oh, I want to marry you, but obviously I can't drive for 14 hours to marry you. So, but now they can watch the Northern Experience.
Right.
And fall in love and know there's a reason to come, you know. So it's amazing. It's really amazing, you know, with the film The Forgotten Kingdom, with the Northern Experience. And I know there is much more that you are coming. You have to keep doing it. Like, we have to show people what we have, and then once people start seeing it, the investors that we need are going to be like, you know what, I saw this movie the other day, the place isn't so bad, and they're going to come and invest. And then the government is going to see, oh, they should know, by the way. They don't need to watch your movie to know. But let's take it that they don't know. They watch your movie, they have the Northern Experience, and then we start bringing these people down. So it's all about shining a light, and you are doing a fantastic job at that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want us to talk a little bit about how we interact with each other in the North, just before we go off, right? You mentioned you went to screen it in Tamale and people accused of beating the war drums, right? You know, I think it's sad how instead of being united and coming together, we still don't understand. And we are supposed to know our history. Why do you think that is lost on us? Why we those are supposed to come together, why are we not as united as we should be? You've traveled to see these people. What did they tell you?
Sometimes I said, like, there are times where the ruling class there are places where the ruling class are disconnected from the people. There are places where the you know, like, you have to fight for your life. What time do you have to go and dig? But the other point is, like you said, our history is the most important element. The people we need to develop the North, we already have.
We have everything.
all we need for them is to direct their energies back home.
Yes.
We don't even need investors, because one of the reasons I do my project is because, like, I've lived in the South. I've had the privilege to be certain places, and a lot of time in the cities, you realize that the people even in those communities don't own the developmental agenda or are not part of the developmental process. They are more or less like employees, and you know. That's not what I envision for the North. I envision the North where the North or Northness are part of that developmental drive. And so whilst the system is growing, the people are growing with the system. And how can you harness it if the people who are from there and are having all the big businesses down south and other places can look up north and not only hide their wealth in the south?
All right. My last question before we go. How are you funding all of this? Because this sounds terribly expensive.
I don't think you want to go there. I think it's always been like, never really had funding for it. Like, it's been all personal and family and stuff sometimes, right?
Passion and soul, huh?
Passion and soul, I guess.
Wow.
It's not been any, because, you know, in Africa, in Ghana, nobody believes in research to fund it. And that's one of the difficulty in terms of funding, you know. And because of that, it's like, you know, you work a little, you take the money and put it into what you do it. Go back to hustle and just get it and keep chasing dreams, because that's what I love to do.
Okay. What would you like to see happen with the Northern experience? What would you like to see happen?
Okay, so I would like to say that, so as I explain how the whole Northern experience came about, like, I also like to mention some of our partners and our supporters for this. So basically, with the Northern experience, we have the National Theatre as our main partner. You know, we bet this beautiful adaptation together. I'm really excited that it happened. You know, it's always been my dream to find other ways to get this information to the people. And then we also have Savannah International Academy on board. We have Laraja Production. We have Folklore Board on board, and UNESCO is supporting us.
Fantastic.
And also, we got the ministry to endorse us, the Ministry of Tourism. So shout out to them too, and to everybody supporting us, I guess. And Africa Global Radio. How could I do?
And of course, Africa Global Radio. Before we sign off, what would for your final words, right? I want you to tell me what your vision for the Northern experience is going forward the next 5 years. What would you like to see happen, in terms of support, people coming on board, and your vision for the project?
Okay, cool. Thank you. In the next 5 years, we're going to start our university.
Yes.
The Nadbewa University. That's the vision. In the next 5 years, the Northern Experience is going to be an annual event, and each year is going to pick different stories from different parts of the North and retell it, and also kind of create a platform to interact with the people when we are there, to get their feedback, their expectations, and our own foreshots, and how we can do better so that we can add up to making it better. Also, there's more activities to it that we don't want to leak out of the bag. So we're on fire. Check it out.
Yeah, thank you so much. Our guest today has been Mr. Sumani Seini Mandiaya, who is a researcher, a filmmaker, and a founder and executive of the Chaka Heritage Foundation and the Northern Experience. The Northern Experience is an event that takes you to the north without you even having to set foot there, where you're exposed to the culture, the food, and the people. And my God, I can't wait for you guys to be back. If you stayed with me, today has been the Northern themed episode of Arts Africa. My name is Zakia, and we have been talking everything Northern culture. I hope it's been as much of an eye-opening experience for you as it has been for me. I am humbled, I am touched, And most importantly, I have been reminded of my humanity, because Mandiaya has said so many things that we can all pick from. Like I said, this is not a PR campaign for the North. This is just to remind us all that we are all one. I'm sure if we made a film about any other part of Ghana, any other part of the world, you'd see the common strain that connects and unites all of us. And I'm moved to tears. I asked you when your movie The Forgotten Kingdom came out 2016, before I asked about the Kukumba Nanumba War. I wish that we had watched this. We wouldn't even have fought. I wish that we had seen and heard the stories of Nagbewe and how we are all one. Then there will be no need to fight. Right. We are all one. It's not just one Africa. It is one Ghana. The North and the South. All of us. This has been the Ask Africa show, where we cover everything from literature to performing arts and visual arts. Here you'll find Africa's finest and most creative minds. My name is Zakia.